I find that question hilarious. Anyway, no, I'm not particularly concerned with being set up as the fall guy because I, like everybody else on our staff, none of us have any actual legal or financial ties to Kilroy in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not particularly worried about that. The biggest fall that any of us is taking for any of this is just basically having, a bunch of shit posting or people making videos that are somewhat defamatory or mocking us, calling us liars. I've had some comments on my YouTube channel, talking about how whatever it is, whatever crappy things trolls say on the internet, and the same thing on my Twitter. So
So a few people are asking where Based Mama is, and
I
if
don't
you're
know where
just
she is.
joining us, that's the issue. Is nobody fucking knows. No,
Yeah.
that's why I've been asking
Her
Sister to come.
last message, which has inspired this entire presence of me on this stream, is that she sent a message to me and all of our guests saying that her accounts had been hacked and she had to go offline and close them down. And now I'm here because
You you don't want to be
that
part of
is
it.
too much. That is too much for me to feel confident
Okay, can I
in
can I
saying
make a
anything
prediction here, Sin? Can I let me make a
new.
prediction or
You can predict whatever you want. Oh
let
wait.
let me throw
I
something
have
out
to
there.
answer the
Pay,
baby. No,
Based
no, I'm
Mama,
not a Satanist. And here is my baby doll. I'm just
nobody
gonna
can
show
see it.
you.
You're not on
Like,
camera.
no, put it on camera. That's fine. You can
Hold
show me. I don't care.
on. Okay.
But I'm showing my baby dolls. These are my creepy babies. So the last event that I did, one of the artists who was there was a baby doll artist that goes to secondhand stores and reclaims baby dolls and then makes them into creepy babies. So some are zombies, some are evil devil babies. I don't know, just all just one of them was a really Annabelle Lee style baby.
Okay.
So
Before I forget this,
here,
it
this
do
is
you,
creepy baby
oh
number one.
fucking Christ. I don't like it.
Let's see.
Um,
I don't like it. Put it away. I love him though, because look at his
I
little
took
ears
it
and
off.
his
That
little.
shit's gay. Um,
No,
do you think Base Mama's going to come out and say that her PayPal was one of the things that were hacked?
I don't know.
Do you think it seems
I'm
like
not.
it's I'm calling it if that happens. If not, no one will remember I said that shit. But I'm calling it.
You can call it. I am not going to do that.
King Carl said he'd bang you.
I am not a person
Sister Dane.
that
Okay, so you've
likes to jump
officially.
to conclusions.
I'll jump
I
as
am
fast as
officially
fast.
out of this event. 100% out of
That's
this
what I was
event.
gonna ask.
I will still I will still answer emails that come to my account if I um, can get into the main Kilroy email account. I will still answer people's emails that come there to the best of my ability. I got into this event for the same reason that everybody else did, was because we all believed in a vision. And I have never intended to do anything bad to anybody. So I'm willing to do everything that I can to try to help everybody be satisfied, even the people that are angry at me
People
and
are saying, well,
call
she
me a
was
lot
in
of bad
contact
things.
with you last night. The question was anything
Yeah.
more than just a small thing.
Um,
She's
last
been
night,
basically radio silent.
the only, when I say there hasn't been any meaningful conversation, that's what I mean. Nothing meaningful. The only thing that I've heard out of her is essentially, I'm alive, I'm sick, all my kids are sick, and that is more or less the summary. We haven't had any for days and days, haven't had any conversation until last night. Last night, I had a conversation with the staff. And the staff said, we need to get these things and she must answer them in writing. And so
And
I said, okay. So I drafted an email. I sent it to her. Everybody on the staff was in that email so that there was transparency for everybody. And she answered that email. After she answered, I called her, there was the send button. The email was drafted. I pushed send. I called her on the phone. And I said, I've sent you an email. You need to read this email. You need to respond to this email by email in writing, and you need to respond to everybody. And I was not very kind to her in that conversation, for which I did later apologize. I said I'm very sorry that I don't want to be vulgar about whatever, but I said I'm sorry that I had to be a bitch. Um, but these things needed to happen in this way. And um, that was the last time I spoke to her verbally. That was last night at, I don't know, sometime around 9 or 10 because I went out after that. So I didn't really talk to her. But I had that last phone conversation where said that you need to answer these things. And I more or less hung up on her, but politely, because I said, I can't talk to you about this. It has to be answered in email, has to be put into writing, not told to me over the phone. And I'm now going to hang up so that you can go do that. And I hung up the phone, and we did get that response. After we got that response, I felt like, okay, this response is what we largely asked for. There was still one critical question that was left unanswered, which was, is that money that was donated accessible, right? Because if she had withdrawn it into a bank account, okay, um, if she had withdrawn it into a bank account and it was no longer in PayPal, then it didn't much matter. It does impact, but not as severely. It doesn't impact our ability to go forward, um, because the money is in a place that we can access, as opposed to being in the PayPal account, which may have had limited access due to being, well, in limited status. So, if the money had been withdrawn into a bank account, our next steps were to, um, we had planned to say, okay, we need to have this money moved. We need to find a CPA, and we need to have this money moved into essentially an escrow account. So it's being held in a third-party account. Any expenditures, you save your receipts, you give them to the accountant, and they pay for those things out of an account that they are guaranteeing under their license as a CPA. So that is what we wanted to do next, assuming we could even access those funds. We haven't got to that point because this morning I tried to call her. I got her voicemail. I didn't hear anything from her for hours. I had to go to work, and then I had a text message, and all of the guests had a text message telling them that she had to close down her Twitter accounts or something because they were hacked. And now I'm here because that was too much for me.
That says this is a Christian channel, no swearing. Okay. I just hope you can realize.
I was only swearing in air quotes, okay? I wasn't.
We don't fucking swear here, nigger. I'm just hoping you can understand why people are angry and why people feel like this is dishonest and why people feel like this is a money grab.
Well, I'm not going to speak to whether or not it's a money grab.
But you can you at least understand why they think that?
Yes, I absolutely can understand. Yes. I've been able to understand that since Andy Worski's live stream. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I don't know about everybody else on the team, although I'm pretty sure everybody else on the team also understands. Nobody is questioning why people are angry. One of the frustrating things about it is that it is an interesting and difficult line. You want to answer people's questions, but to some degree, people ask ill-formed questions because they don't actually know what they're talking about to begin with. So they ask ill-formed questions that you can't answer to begin with. It's sort of like saying, do you like apples? Yes, Ford Motors. What? Like the things are so unrelated that there really isn't a way to answer them that is satisfying. And that puts you in this position from a PR perspective of looking like you don't know what you're talking about, or you're trying to hide something. There's a bunch of different ways that people can spin that,
It's hard to tell the truth when you don't know the answer, but I appreciate you at least saying that you don't know the answer.
I don't know. it's worse to me to imply to people that you know something when you don't. And I would rather that people called me ignorant, incompetent. I would rather people
Well,
called
you
me
know
all of those
this
things
looks like
than dishonest.
incompetence. You know this looks like incompetence.
It was.
Okay, it actually is incompetence then.
Well, I would surely rather chalk it up to genuine incompetence than I would rather chalk it up to somebody's uh personal money grab. I I am still unwilling to ascribe that level of motive to Based Mama. I just think that she's really inexperienced. And you don't know what you don't know. You can't even know to ask about things that you don't know.
$2 from Lee Man. Did you get my Streamlabs? No, I didn't. I'll go look.
What was the question?
He asked if I got a Streamlabs donation. I'll go pull it up right now.
Oh,
I have the Streamlabs the Streamlabs sound turned down. For 4 years,
I
I was an assistant manager for Connection. I did licensing and contracts for media and guests. We never had a non-compete or a non-disclosure agreement. However, we did have codes of conduct. I would like to join the stream and talk about this. Well, you can't join, but I guess that's a good point.
people have said things like that. I mean, Tim Pool said that I have an agent and I've never had to sign anything. Well, that's probably because your agent signed your shit for you, dude. But whatever.
I just
Sorry, Christian channel. Didn't mean to swear right there. But
I just
you know,
hope
how other people do things though isn't an indication necessarily of how we chose to do things. So it isn't uncommon. And to be quite honest, everybody who was a professional speaker, somebody that professionally speaks on a regular basis, had no problem with anything that we gave them to sign. The only people who had a problem with it were the right-wing people. Now, I don't know if they would have had a problem with it if it hadn't been for the Discord server thing, but I certainly understand after the context of that came out and was public, I understand why those people had the issue that they did, and I feel very bad for them because, quite frankly, I am a person of, I guess one might say, a bit of a liberal mindset classic liberal mindset, not left SJW
when it
liberal.
comes to
But
a free speech event, the political leaning shouldn't affect anything.
Well, they didn't. I mean, we had right-wing speakers that were in that event, at least two of them. One of them who works for Black Pigeon Speaks, and the other one was a far right-wing person running on the libertarian bill down in Texas that was coming to speak. So,
Can you
what?
Can you I know you say it's incompetence, but you have to realize that when there's this amount of money involved in it, incompetence isn't a good enough answer for it. Like if it were a few $100s, well, I don't play money, but even if it
isn't a good enough answer for what?
Why it's almost hit a standstill as far as the shit goes, because even two of the main organizers have dropped out at this point.
I'm not sure what the question is here.
Do you understand that incompetence isn't an excuse for this, though? Like, you're saying it's incompetence. It's not an excuse.
What other reason? Wait, so hold on. I do want to really look at your chat. So, what other reason do people suspect?
Oh, shit.
Short of a conspiracy theory. So, like, I don't know. I really do want to try to answer the chat because I do feel like a lot of people have had a lot of questions. And at this point, I am officially dropped out and I'm willing to talk to people about what's led me to that decision.
You're the second organizer to drop out. It's rough days, man.
Yeah, I don't remember Dave actually addressing any of this, though.
Well, Dave said that there were no contracts.
Yep, he sure did.
Hold on real quick. I got a $50 Streamlabs donation. Sinatra, have a happy new year regardless of Kilroy and all the stuff with Kraut. Hope you had a lot of fun this year and hope you have lots of fun this upcoming year as well. I'm here for the long haul. Good luck.
Also,
there. Thank you, Rothvik. I really appreciate it.
Can I just address the fraud bullshit? Oh, sorry. I've had a little bit of wine, and so that Christian channel.
All
right. I'm
okay,
sorry.
so the fraud. You
fraud.
realize that this looks just like fraud, though. Like
okay,
I'm
guys,
trying to tell you, because you know the ins and outs of this. You know how for the most part what was happening that most people don't know. So they can't make an assumption based on stuff they haven't seen.
So I just want to talk about the fraud claim really fast because, for the love of God, I've been watching this go around on Twitter and people are like, fraud! Listen, at least two things have to happen in order for fraud to occur. One, people have to not get their money back. People are getting their money back. Therefore, no fraud. End of story. Two, people who go ahead and go forward with the whole thing, if you haven't asked for a refund, you don't intend to ask for a refund, and you're going to go forward with the thing, okay? If the event doesn't occur, then after the fact, you now have a fraud case, okay? Those two things would lead to fraud. Since those two things aren't happening, either haven't happened because the event hasn't rolled around yet, or if people were actually not getting their money back, then there would be a case of fraud. Short of that, at this time, no fraud. So it's kind of irritating to hear fraud. Like, it isn't fraud. As much as an F up as it might be, it isn't fraud.
No, it's definitely a fuck up. Like, this is definitely... This is FUBAR beyond the average FUBAR.
False advertisement would be a type of fraud. Since people are getting their money back, it doesn't matter.
Well, for now, they're getting their money back. I haven't seen anything.
Correct. For now, they are getting their money back. And as far as I know, they will continue to get their money back as long as they continue
Do you know
to go for refunds, because they're all protected by PayPal. So
METOKUR in the chat says...
Okay, wait, hold on. This is good.
Wait, no.
Sister is covering for Base Mama. Wait, what? So I'm just trying to read what the chat's saying.
Okay, well, this is more important. METOKUR in the chat says giving the money back doesn't make the false advertising less illegal. No contracts during promotion. You use people's images to raise money illicitly.
Well, I didn't, so that's good.
Well, your name isn't on anything as far as I know.
Nope.
A lot of these people are asking you to answer for Based Mama, but what they're failing to realize is that's one of the reasons you dropped out of the event was because of lack of communication from Based Mama. Committing a crime, then saying you're sorry, here's your money back, doesn't matter to the law. That is true. METOKUR, if you want on, I think you can
but the premise of fraud is that you've actually of something, and if nobody is missing anything, they have no case for fraud. What have you been defrauded of?
People are asking me to put Jim on. I can't put him on. He'd have to message me. Well, I made you sit down and watch his last video.
You did, and I don't know who he is. So
he's
I'm sorry.
Jim. Like the dude.
Sure, I'm happy to try to talk to anybody. What I would like to not have a repeat of is people screaming over me every time I try to answer a question.
Well, that's why
what I'd like to.
I try to have a hard 4 soft 5 on this channel.
What does that mean?
Hard 4 people, soft 5 if they're good. No more than 4.
I don't know what that. I don't know what you mean by that.
No more than 4
hard
people.
For? No more than 4. Okay, and a soft 5 means
if one of them's quiet.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. Like, in some way, shape, or form, I'm so disconnected with this. God, I don't live on YouTube.
All right, I'm gonna shoot METOKUR the link.
Sure, go ahead.
Also, you need to. Oh, what the fuck?
Oh, I'm such. What? I don't know. If everyone gets their money back, Kilroy shit event is bankrupt. You don't know
Well,
the
there's at
meaning
least
of
$30,000 out.
this event is probably out. I don't see how the only way it wouldn't be out is if the hotel agreed to not charge their cancellation fee,
And how
which they
often
have
does that
every
happen?
legal right. So if you were a hotel and there was an event and it was going to come to your hotel and then it canceled on you, you were able to collect a straight up fat sum of cash and then rebook the same exact space with no work on your part other than charging a credit card. What would you do as a business? You would charge the credit card, say, you were contracted to give us this amount in the event of a cancellation. We are collecting this amount, and now we're going to re-rent this room. That's what you would do.
I guess.
I, I don't think that's crazy.
Good afternoon to both of you.
Oh, we have Billy the
Uh,
anti-bully here.
This is
who,
a Christian channel, correct? So I
It,
can't. You don't want any swearing on it.
yeah, no swearing, niggas.
by the way, could somebody define what swearing is?
It's not a Christian channel. Just
No,
fucking.
I mean, I'm just,
He's just
wait,
having a little bit of fun. I did have a couple questions. Real questions, honest questions. Um, and I am not asking you to answer for somebody else. I'm just wanting your input if you can give it.
I
Base
will
Mama.
give you whatever input I can.
Okay. Base Mama had said that she had taken out a $30,000 loan to secure a deposit on the convention space at the hotel. But on the fundraiser, it says it was $8,000 to secure the space. I've now seen evidence put forward by somebody else who had private contact with her saying that Dave Cullen is the one that paid for the space and not her. So what was the $30,000 for, and why was it misrepresented as being put forward to Kilroy? Do you have any info on that?
I can guesstimate. I can't speak authoritatively. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, just as best you can. And like I said, I'm not asking you to answer for it, but if you have information, I'm just curious.
Okay, so I don't know who the third party person is that you talked to, and nor was I around at the inception of the fundraiser. So I didn't have any input on the amount that they intended to raise, or if I had, it wouldn't have been done the way it was. We would have gone through some other platform to do it. But so I wasn't around for any of that. So I can't speak to what occurred with her and Dave during that time. I don't know if Dave footed the bill for anything. I don't know if she took out a loan for anything. I don't know if she mortgaged her house for anything. So what I can say is that when you go to get a hotel space, you do have to put some sort of down payment for that or guarantee for that the hotel can then either cash the check or charge the credit card in the event that the event falls through. I don't know what that was at the time. What I do know is that the minimum cancellation policy at this time is just under, we've been rounding up because it's just under $30,000. So we're just saying $30,000. It's a roundup, but it's close enough. So it's just under $30,000. If she was to cancel the event right now with the hotel, she will be charged $30,000. Wherever that money comes out of, I don't know. I don't know if she gave them a PayPal credit card. I don't know if she gave them checks. I don't know. So that I think, so if you were to ask me where did these numbers come from, I would anticipate that those numbers came from her looking at the hotel contract and saying, in the absolute worst case scenario, that we have to pay a 100% security fee, which we, as far as I know, she was asked to do by the hotel because the hotel received phone calls from people saying all kinds of crazy crap. So she was asked to pay an enormous security deposit. She was, and she was looking at this going, well, in the worst case scenario, if this event gets canceled, how much money would I be liable for? And that is what determined the final total of the fundraiser, so that she would be covered in the event of a catastrophic failure.
And
That's
that sounds reasonable, but
Uh,
some of the other pieces of information that have come through, and the reason that I guess I'm questioning, and it's hearsay, and maybe you don't know anything, but that Base Mama, whatever, was $300,000 in debt already. So how would she have been able to secure a $30,000 loan with that much debt?
real quick, before you answer that,
wait,
if I go take a piss real quick, you guys aren't gonna fucking destroy my stream, are you?
I don't
No,
think
I
so.
don't think
I
so.
didn't
All right, I'll
destroy
be
it when
right
you
back.
had a cigarette. I think I was pretty good. So, sorry, you're, let me rephrase your question, or sorry, repeat your question. You're saying that she herself was $3,000 in debt, personally speaking, and the question is, how could she have then afforded to put any kind of a security deposit onto the hotel contract? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, if and again, I don't have like financial documents in front of me, obviously, and it's hearsay. But from what I'm understanding, is she either stated or somebody has evidence she stated that she was in a lot of debt, and I know from just basic business that you're not going to be able to walk into a bank and secure a $30,000 loan if you have an exorbitant amount of a debt to credit ratio.
So I have no real answers to those questions. I actually have never heard her state that, so I don't know where that information is coming from. I don't know anything at all, like zero. I know more about this event and its finances than I do about her personal finances. I've never talked to
Okay.
her about them, not ever. I can't speak to them. I don't know if she was in debt prior to this or not. I do agree with you that yes, you cannot walk into a bank and take out a $30,000 loan. I just bought a trailer this year. I know for a fact that it is not easy necessarily to do
Right.
those things. So, I do agree with that. What One of the things that has been said is that she took out a second mortgage on her house. If she did that, then the bank could have possibly given her money to put down on the hotel. Um, and I would assume that if they did that, then the form that the hotel has that money in is in a check, unless she had that money deposited into account and then gave them a credit card number for the account. Because those are the two primary ways that a hotel would accept that money. And a hotel probably wouldn't accept a personal check unless they had the opportunity to first guarantee that those funds were sufficient within somebody's bank account.
Right. And when
So,
I did my video on all of this, there's a lot of speculation and hearsay out there, so I tried to keep it just to actual recorded audio clips and statements. One of the ones I was curious about, I believe it was you on a stream with some black guy, had said
okay.
that,
Yeah, that was the Andy Worski Some Black Guy stream. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was that one. It might have been another one, but you had said something, I'm paraphrasing here. Not all the non-disclosure agreements were the same. That
That is
there were,
correct.
okay.
Real
What I'm
quick,
trying to
Metakur,
understand here,
you got
yeah,
that number wrong. It's not 300,000. It's 375,000
okay. My
375,000 what?
in debt that she is. That she said she was because someone in the chat posted the video and I just watched it real quick.
Okay, so this is why I was going back to the, I don't want to say who, but third party that had private information talk. It's incidental, but now I lost my train of thought. What was I going with? Oh, the NDAs. Yeah,
The
um,
NDAs?
I know one of the speakers had said that the NDAs, they had posted a video and then taken it down, wasn't to protect them from the audience, but was to protect them from the other participants. So what I'm curious about here is, were
Sorry, can
the
I pause for a minute?
yeah.
Just please repeat yourself because you cut out. You said wasn't to protect them from the audience, but was to protect them from
From the other participants, the other panelists.
the other.
Okay, so my question is, was the NDA split differently between the academics and the YouTubers?
That correct formed, and the answer is no, based on the way that you've phrased the question. The NDA that was published that Tim Pool put out was a draft, and Oh boy, I don't even know where to begin to try to describe this to you, what was happening. Because it seems to me that there were two times, know some things that I didn't know previously, that there were two timelines of events that were simultaneously occurring, which was setting up appointments with guests in order and going through with them one by one. In those meetings, I go through the NDA, I answer any questions that they have. I go through their contract. I answer any questions that I have. And at that time, we negotiate whatever it is that we're going to negotiate by way of compensation, by way of expectations from the event. That's what happens in the contract process. And then at the end of that, they are sent their contract to sign, and we receive back a photograph of that. And then the physical contract must be mailed to the P.O. box, which I do not have access to. The P.O. box belongs to Base Mama in Arizona, so I have
And
no way to actually confirm that. So let me
okay.
finish.
Mhm.
So when we go through the NDA, which never happened with Tim Pool, he refused to go through the NDA with me. Now, if he went through the NDA with anybody else, I don't know. I can't attest to that, but I know that he did not, and neither did Sargon. Neither of them ever looked at a contract, to the best of my knowledge, and they certainly didn't negotiate a contract with me through this process. When I say I had nothing to do with these people, I mean, I really didn't have anything to do with these people. So when we would go through the contract, though, with a guest, we would talk about what these things meant to them. And if they had concerns, we would either negotiate that and change it as necessary within. I mean, we did have a parameter that we had to remain within as a business, but we were able to have some leniency in that. And that is what we did with that's what I did. Every single thing that I was involved in with a guest, that is what happened.
So
When did
did
this process? When did this process take place? Because my understanding of the timeline, at least from a lot of the participants' point of view, was that NDAs, non-competes, and contracts of appearance weren't set out until after the fundraiser goal was met. So was this all started to be, arbitrated? Were you all negotiating this after December 6th?
So the NDA and the contract didn't come into existence, as far as I know, with regards to this event until I had come back. And I said to Dave and Base Mama, hey guys, I'm back. I'm here. Please give me an update of what's going on. Where are things at? And they were like, well, they at that point in time, I think they were roughly $40,000 or so into the fundraiser. And, so my next question was, okay, well, where's our programming grid? Like, let's look at this. What do we have? Right? Here's the hotel contract. Let's look at a programming grid. Neither of them even knew what a programming grid was. So I made a programming grid, and the very basic vestiges of one anyway. And I made that, and it was like, okay, so here's our space that we have contracted from the hotel. Here's the approximately, this is the money that we have. And we just kind of laid out as best we could based on largely, as far as I know, Twitter conversations that were in that original VidCon group, in that Twitter group. And we just made that, I took that and I made that into a programming grid. And then I said, okay, well, from here, what we really need to have happen is all of our guests need to fill out a form. They need to let us know, we have to have their information. We can't, just for sheer organizational purposes, every time I need to contact Joe, I can't go back through a whole, 6 months of Twitter archived messages to look for Joe's email address, right? So I put together a Google form and I said, let's have everybody fill this out. They can fill it out with their information so we know where to contact them. We know what the relevant links are when we go to promote them in social media. We have their YouTube handles at hand, their Twitter handles at hand. We don't have to ask them for that information. And we need to know what panels they want to talk about. We opened this first to our guests and then to the public. And we had over 200 panel submission responses with approximately, at the time, 50 panel slots. So we had to tailor that down. Unless anybody has a magic way to fit 200 into a bottle of 50,
Well, and that's
you know.
that's understandable. But I guess the reason I asked this, and this is what I'm really curious about, because Base Mom on December 16th had said in a stream that it's the violation of Arizona advertising laws to have somebody's face up to promote a product or a convention without having them signed to a contract. So if you were already $40,000 into the fundraising process and nobody had signed a contract, are you worried that you're going to get sucked into this? Because I have a feeling lawsuits are coming. What was your exact role at the company or the convention or however you set this up?
My only role is that I agreed to donate my time as a volunteer.
As a volunteer.
As a volunteer. So I'm not personally terribly worried about any kind of lawsuits because I'm not involved in it in any more than that capacity. With regards to the question that you're asking, like to specifically answer that, I wasn't around at that time. I wasn't working on it with them. I was doing my real life job, which involves a lot of travel for me. So I just was gone for like 2 months, for all of September and October, traveling and working. So I kind of came back and then I was like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still alive, still willing to participate in the team. And that's it. And
No.
then when I came back though, that like, well, what I'm saying is that they went ahead, her and Dave, they went ahead with the process of the fundraiser, and I came back after all of that had begun. So when
after VidCon, after the inception of it.
Yes.
So why this is my other question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really want to try to nail down a timeline. Maybe you can answer this since you're just, I get it. You're involved as a volunteer. Base Mama had said to Bunty King on another stream that this was something they had been working on for 3 years. Her and Kevin had been working on this for 3 years. Andy Worski, though, was under the impression that this was something that was set into motion after VidCon, and the social media accounts would seem to substantiate that. The Kilroy event, Twitter handle, and all of that went up, I think, June 30th, which was a few days after VidCon. So was this a business that already existed and was just retrofitted to tack on the idea that these YouTubers had, or do you have any information about that?
So Kevin, there's a Twitter screenshot out there of a post that Kevin made. I don't even know, maybe more than a year ago at this point, where he just made a tweet to his own account saying, hey, somebody should do an event like this. I have heard multiple stories about this at this time. I don't know which one of those stories is accurate or true. I believe Kevin. That dude has been awesome this whole time. And the extent of his involvement is, as far as I know, with the inception of things, quote unquote, here, like visualize my air quotes, if you will. The extent of his involvement is that he made a Twitter post. And then I've heard different stories from that point. One of the storylines is that Victoria saw his post. She really liked this idea. And they started brainstorming how to actually see that into reality, say 2 years ago. Another storyline that I've heard is that her and Dave have been working on this convention for the last 2 to 3 years and how to manifest it and bring it into existence. Another storyline that I've heard is that none of this existed until VidCon, and then there were conversations that took place with Andy Worski and at these private parties, and that was where the whole idea came about. And after VidCon, this Twitter group was organized in order to make it manifest. So those are the 3 primary storylines I've heard. I've been told all of those storylines. I've heard all of those storylines from the public.
You don't know. I gotcha.
I don't know. I wasn't there for any of them.
I feel like that's part of the issue that people are having is a lot of these I don't know answers or just not answers.
Somebody asked in the live chat when the LLC was formed. I don't know the date that the LLC was formed, but I do know that anybody can look it up on the internet because it's public
I
information.
believe it was June 30th from the documents I saw.
She's like
So
directly after Kilroy.
I haven't seen those documents. I have never gone and looked up the specific formation date of the LLC.
I am curious about one other thing. I mean, I do know you guys got volunteers and stuff working there.
Sure.
The Kilroy was here icon is copyrighted, or from what I understand, copyrighted or trademarked by Disney. Was there any worry about copyright infringement by using that for your advertising campaign?
No, because you can't copyright something like that. You have to trademark something like that. So,
Trademark them.
if it was trademarked, then I mean, the trademark, any trademarks that I saw were long expired. The most basic of those little drawings is an old thing that I believe to be in the public domain, and no, not worried about it. Any of the 3D graphics were all graphics that were actually designed by our graphics person, so they're not ripped off of any website or anything. That they were actually designed by a person themselves who has ownership over their own property. So not terribly worried about it. No.
Oh, okay, and then I'll stop co-opting your stream here, Sinatra. I just had one last question.
It's okay.
You're
Like
fine.
if I'm not answering questions that you feel like to your satisfaction, please ask me for clarification. I'm really trying to be
That's
again,
fine. So
as transparent as I
you're
can.
no longer associated with this?
No, after today I am definitely pulling the plug on my association with this.
What was the motivator for it?
The motivator for it was that that basically last night we asked a series of questions
Who is
to
we?
Based Mama. We is all me and all the staff. I wrote the email after talking to all the staff, and they said, "Okay." I wrote the email. I CC'd all of the staff in on it to ask her the questions that we talked about previously in the stream. She responded to that email. I felt mostly sufficiently and actually somewhat reassuringly, she responded to that email. But this morning, I did try to call her last night after the email exchange had taken place because I didn't want to talk to her on the phone. I didn't want to hear anything on the phone. I wanted it like everybody else wanted it in writing. And so that's what we asked for. And then I wouldn't speak to her until that was done. After that was done, I tried to call her last night. She didn't answer her phone. It went to voicemail. I tried to call her again this morning. She told me she was feeding her baby. I said, "Okay, well, I'm going out." And she said, "Great, we'll talk in the morning." Paraphrase. "Great, we'll talk in the morning." Okay, so I called her back this morning, and she didn't answer. And then I had to go to work. So the afternoon went by. And then in early this evening, I got a message, and all of our guests got a message saying, "I have to close down my Twitter account because I've been hacked." Or my accounts, I think is what it technically said. It didn't specify Twitter, but maybe, I don't know.
Do you
Anyway,
know if the
she had to
PayPal
close
was
down her
on that?
accounts. I don't know what that's in reference to. All I know is that I saw that, and to me, that was more than I could bear to in any way talk to other people to try to tell them to have confidence, stick with it. We're trying to do things right. Yes, I was trying to do things right and trying to do things above boards and by the books. But I'm sorry that it presses the boundaries of my credulity, if you will. And if I can't say to people confidently, I feel positive 100%, I'm telling you the truth to the best of my knowledge, it's okay, do this thing, put your dollars on this thing. If I can't say that to people, how then should I ask people to do that? Why then should I be doing that? That it is unintegral, and I won't do it. And so I'm out because I can't do that with 100% assurity, not for myself and therefore not for anybody else. So I'm out.
That makes sense. I'm sorry. There's one last question. Somebody in the chat asked, and I
No,
guess it
okay.
makes sense. You said you were a volunteer. I noticed that on
Yes.
the cost breakdown for the Kilroy thing, it was like 40,000 for administrative fees, 8,000 for deposit and like another 39, roughly 39,000 security and all that stuff. How many people were volunteers? I mean, what are the administrative fees if everybody's volunteering?
So those will primarily be, and first of all, can I ask a clarifying question?
Mhm.
Where are these breakdowns coming from? Where is this information?
The Kilroy event website.
Okay, so the fundraiser that was on the website. Okay. Um,
I can double check to make sure I have the right numbers for you. Yeah, 38,000 security administration incidentals.
it's okay. It's sort of irrelevant. But typically, what those things would refer to is any costs that it takes to pay any of your guests, right? So if you were to think of this as any standard event, anybody that you're professionally paying to come there, any security that you're professionally paying to come there. Administrative fees are going to include things like, what do you need for registration? Do you have to have computers? Do you have to have printers? Do you have to have paper? You have to have badges. You have to have all of these things. These are all standard administration fees that go into that. If you have your own security team, they probably need things like their own set of walkie-talkies so that they can communicate with one another. That's going to cost you money. Like there's a bajillion small things that go into having to run an event, right? Do you have to print up flyers so that you can go out and paper the town, or so that you can go to local meetings for whatever group it is that you might be trying to solicit to come? Do you have to print those things up and order them so that you have some paraphernalia to give away to people? There's all kinds of small administrative fees that go into something like this. When the grand total is what it is on the website, I didn't make that website. I didn't have any input on that website. I would theorize that they were like, okay, we think that approximately it will cost us this much overall for the general operations. Because that's what I would do, I guess. You know, if I had zero numbers to go off of, right, you might say to yourself, how much will this event cost to produce on the back end? And you might try to guesstimate a number. Okay, I wouldn't try to guesstimate a number, not like just straight out of the blue, because I'm not like that. There are ways to sort of determine that thing, but I don't think that they probably did that. I think they just tried to guesstimate a number that it might cost them to run the event. And
Do you know if there was
that's what
any?
I would.
Do you know if there was any paid staff at all, or was it all volunteer?
No, every single person on this staff is volunteer. Every one of us. The only person with access to that money is Based Mama.
Okay.
And I would like to take a moment to say, anybody else that is on this staff is there because I went and asked them to be there. So these people they are at least 2 steps removed from what's going on. Okay. Please do not flame them or go after them in any way, shape, or form. They literally came onto this because I went and hired them to come onto it. And they answered to me.
Wait, you
Okay.
hired them or they volunteered?
I hired them, meaning I said, please come be on our official staff. Not because anyone's being paid, because they're just official staff members. That does that not make sense?
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but you have to see it from my perspective. I just talked to somebody called Destiny, who's a big Twitch streamer. He goes to a lot of conventions, does a lot of work with major companies. And, you know, he watched the breakdown of Kilroy, and the thing that really amazed him was that you had all of these YouTubers, all of these people help promoting the product. And he's like, that's not standard at all. Like, that's discussed from day one before a website goes up. You're
Yes,
talking
I
about
agree. No, I
tweets
agree.
for promotion, contracts are getting signed, a breakdown of the finances, panel
All
promises.
of that should have been done beforehand. I absolutely agree. 100%. 100%. And so does pretty much everybody else on the staff. And that's why everybody on the staff asked for the questions to be answered last night that they did. Because
Okay.
We've done this before. We weren't there at the inception of this. We none of us had any involvement with how this got launched. And if we had, it wouldn't be anything like this, because that's correct to say that all of these YouTubers that are going out and promoting it, all of everything that happened, all of the contracts, all of the NDAs, any of the finances, all of those things should have been done long before those people ever said anything on YouTube. In an ideal world, that's what would have happened. We walked into this thing and we were like, well, we believe in the idea of it. We want to try to help it happen. How can we do that? But it has now reached the point that we aren't comfortable or confident with it anymore. We don't want to be involved in it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for answering the question. Sorry, Sinatra, to butt in. I just had a few I wanted to ask.
It's fine.
I mean, is there anything else? Like, am I not answering something fully, or are there details
I just
that
wanted
you?
I just wanted a few side questions answered. That's it. You answered everything I wanted to have.
I feel like there are a lot more questions to be asked, but that you won't be able to give the answers to us.
Well,
It's
you know,
just
the
a
thing is that
surprising lack of I don't know coming from.
let people ask the questions.
No,
Let
no,
them ask
I'm ending the stream soon. I gotta do some stuff soon.
Come on,
No,
whatever.
if
Let these
PayPal is
people
locked,
ask
how
Sinatra.
can people get refunds? That's because PayPal issues them.
Okay, so listen, right now it's 10:17 where you are. Okay, let's set a time frame. Let's set 20 minutes.
No,
Let
I'll
people
put on
ask
5 minutes. I'll put on 5 minutes. We can
more
do a
than 5
Q&A
minutes.
stream.
At least go to the half an hour.
No, we
Let
can.
people ask their
I got
questions.
stuff
And if
I
I
gotta
can't
do.
answer them, I will just tell them that I can't answer the question if I can't answer it. And if I can, I'll do my best to answer it. Let them ask.
Someone says an
Let
average
them
deposit from
ask.
Sheraton is $5,000.
Sorry, someone says what?
The average, fucking lost it. The average deposit from the Sheraton is $5,000.
I have no comment on that. What the average deposit is and what's in the contract can be two different things, regardless of whatever the average is.
I feel like Base Mama should be answering this stuff, honestly. Like,
That would be a thing that she has to answer herself. That is not, I mean, I could look at the contract and see exactly what that number was, but if I did, I would not be at liberty to tell anybody. So I wouldn't do that. That is something that she would have to answer. And what I can say is, regardless of what the average is, you negotiate what you negotiate. So there it is.
well, I've been saying this to you since the beginning. There's a surprising lack of I don't know coming from everybody who isn't Base Mama. I just feel like something just isn't sitting right. Like, she's being dishonest for no reason, and then she's double talking, and then she's going back, and then she's going forth. And everything I found, I sent to you. Like, what is this shit? And I know the one stream that pissed you off was the one that I looked at on here a couple nights ago from a Dead Horses channel, where she's like, "I am Kilroy,"
which to some degree is true. She's the one who has all of the stuff. I mean, to that degree, that is true. She has the hotel contract. She owns the PayPal account. She owns the business. She technically is Kilroy with regards to that. With regards to making a whole thing happen or who's funding it. I don't know. I told you in private, and I'll just say in public because there's nothing wrong with any of that, but with regards to that, I did not take that comment of hers maliciously. I understood her to be saying in that particular comment that she is the one who is financially and legally responsible for it. That's what I heard her saying there. I didn't hear her saying, "Oh, I'm the one doing all the work and to heck with all the volunteers and all of."
That's not how I took
That's
it.
not
I
what
took
I
it
took from
as
that.
an
Okay.
overinflated ego thing of her saying that Kilroy is what she wants it to be.
That is an interesting perspective that I had not really considered.
Because that's really what it seems like it's turning out to be, is what she wants Kilroy to be.
Yeah, I can honestly say I hadn't really thought of it that way. But I can see how you would take it that way. I think I took it the way that I took it because I just happened to have been working on the event, and so I I knew more information perhaps than the average bear.
Okay.
So,
Let me
but I can see how you took it that way, and
burn
you
through
know,
these super chats real
there it
quick, and if
is.
there's any questions in there, we'll answer those.
Sure,
Adriana with the $2 empty chat. Sergeant Buck with the $2 We Was Burger Kings. Rothvik, I think I read that one. Sinatra, you're
listen, you
awesome.
guys.
My voice is
I
dying
own a
out.
swimming pool.
Um,
I own a swimming pool. It's a blow-up swimming pool. I swear to God, between now and New Year's Eve, I'm finding some fucking balls, and I'm gonna go sit in my own ball pit, and I'm gonna tweet it to you guys.
at this point,
'cause
you have to. Leap Man $2. Did you get my Streamlabs? Yeah, I read it.
oh,
Leap Man with another $1.
I don't know.
$5 from Rothvik. Is it too late for me to retract my Frost comment about Liz and throw it on Base Mama? Not sure which one
About
of them
what?
fits the meme better. It's a Dragon Ball joke. I've been watching the $2 from Leap Man. I've been watching for court docket submissions.
Hey,
Two
can
more
I
dollars
respond
from
to
Leap
Ben?
Man.
Can I?
Trademarks
Oh,
are
you're
industry specific. All right, go ahead. Then we're ending it.
no. Please don't end it.
I-
Please give it a little more time.
I-
There's so many things, and I want to try to answer them a little bit more.
We can host a Q&A another day. I got stuff to do.
Call
was
in
supposed-
late.
I was supposed to end this like an hour ago.
Then I guess it doesn't matter how much overtime you go.
Yes, it does. I have children to put to bed.
Well, then just go put your kids to bed and let me answer the live stream as much as I can.
Okay, chat, listen. No. Listen, chat. We'll do a Q&A stream, okay? How about Tuesday evening?
Tell John Doe that no, I have not cleaned up my floor.
We'll do a
My floor is still a mess.
We'll do a Q&A stream Tuesday evening. Write questions down. I'll set the event right after this, and we'll go from there.
And Gutenberg, I'll answer any question you have.
Tuesday. I got shit to do.
Not Tuesday. Gutenberg knows how to find me. I'll answer his questions.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for all the Super Chats donations. Thanks for Sister Danger for coming and doing that shit. Aiden, no.
I'm so sorry. Oh, God. This is such a mess.
It is. It's a big fucking mess. But I appreciate you coming out, and now that you're out, being a little more honest with us. I don't feel like your questions have answered, or your answers have been quite satisfactory to everybody, but you can't please everybody. All right, and that's where I'll end it.